Welcome to episode 8 of Avant-garde Entrepreneur. I am so glad you're here today with me, my friends. The last episode was part 1 of 2 about the importance of professional help from coaches and mentors. As you navigate the challenges of life as a social entrepreneur, it is really, really important to either seek out help or at least be open to receiving help when it comes into your path. It's not easy asking for or receiving help. And yes, you definitely live a rare and unique life that very few people can understand or identify with. But the truth is, there are people out there who are uniquely qualified to help you. I have had countless coaches and mentors and counselors and guides in various forms over the years, and I would not be here living out my purpose if it wasn't for them. My life is truly a culmination of my God-given desires and guides to show me the path of my destiny. And clearly, you have God-given desires and are already on your path of your destiny to change the world. Sometimes, actually, oftentimes, it really doesn't feel like that. It feels quite the opposite. It feels like we are stuck in our circumstances, like nothing is happening. We feel frustration. We feel isolation because leadership can be very lonely, even being surrounded by a bunch of people. And we also feel conflict in our minds about all the shoulds. Should do this, shouldn't do that. And in my experience, when you feel stuck between your desire and your destiny, very often the missing element is a guide to help you along that part of your path, of your journey. You will likely have many different guides throughout your life, depending on where you are and what's happening. So for you to be open to either seeking help from a guide or to receiving help when it comes your way, it's really wise to understand what a guide is so that you can recognize it when it comes your way, when you see it. So a guide can take on many forms, from formal arrangements to just random encounters with strangers. So I'm going to make a distinction here between the two and talk more about the formal arrangements. I'll refer to formal guidance as coaching. I'm sharing the W's of coaching: the what, the why, the where. What coaching is, why you need it, and where to find it. Episode 7 was all about the what. What is coaching? If you've not listened to it, I encourage you to go back to that one for a full explanation. But the focus of this episode is on the why and the where. Why you need coaching and where to find it. For simplicity and the sake of time, I'm going to use coaching as a very broad term to describe any outside help from an unbiased professional. However, there are several different levels and functions of coaching. So I'm going to break them down into 5. Coaches, mentors, and counselors focus on you, the person. Advisors and consultants focus on your problem. Now, let's get on to the focus of this episode, the why and the where. First, why? Why do you need coaching? Why do you need the help of one or more of these people? I'm going to give 3 reasons. Number 1, they serve different purposes for different seasons of your life. So whether it's long-term strategy planning, an acute situation, or emotional or spiritual healing, growing as a leader is a very cyclical process. So you may have divine inspiration for a long-term plan for growth in your business, but then as you, it's inevitable almost that you're going to have roadblocks. You're going to have things that come up that you didn't think about on your plan. It's not that you missed something. It's just that it wasn't there. It wasn't apparent, or it wasn't the time for it to come up. So when the roadblock comes up, then you have a couple different options. You can look at removing whether it may be a physical roadblock or it may be an emotional or spiritual roadblock. So it's important having a coach or someone that can help you through and to help you discern these types of situations for the different seasons that you're in. So a good example is in one business that I had, I thought, I was doing everything by myself and I'd outsourced a little bit. And I thought, wow, I really need some office help. And so I knew I wanted to grow. I knew that an acute situation I was dealing with was that I needed more help in the office to do some of the administrative things. But I thought, well, I can't do that because that's going to be too expensive. Well, the question is it going to be too expensive or do I have a poverty spirit? Oh my goodness. Am I holding on to something that is not really mine to hold on to? I live a life of abundance. I know that is my inheritance in this world in the heavenly realm. And here I am thinking that something is just too expensive. So maybe it is expensive in dollars from a monetary standpoint, but what else is there that's in my head that's holding me back thinking that it's too expensive? So maybe I'm working with one person for long-term strategy planning, but then maybe I'm working with someone else to help eliminate and break through those limiting beliefs. Because typically when those things come up, that's the next area of breakthrough in your life. Number 2, they can pull you out of the mire of your circumstances. They have been there and done that, and they can really help you pull yourself up. So a couple ways this happens. First of all, they ask the right questions to help you get a direct download from your spirit for the answer. The second way is they really understand how people tick. And this is kind of a funny story along this line. I mentioned in episode 1 that I bartended through all of my 20s and into my 30s, all through school and getting into my career. And the last place I worked was a restaurant, but they had a piano in it. And so at night, people would come in the afternoon, evening and have dinner. And then about 10, maybe 9 or 10, someone would come in to start playing the piano. Well, sometimes it was demure music and sometimes it was pretty lively. And it never failed. About midnight, those people who were sitting at their tables quietly having their dinner were just, as my Uncle Lonnie or my grandfather would say, juking it on the dance floor. So here they are in their 80s, quietly having dinner. And then an hour later, they're just getting crazy on the dance floor around the piano. They're doing the exact same thing that kids in their 20s are doing across town in the clubs. So I remember looking at them one night going, wow, people really just don't change. And that is the truth. I mean, of course, we like to think that we evolve as a species. And of course, how someone, in Vietnam grows up and experiences life and how they respond to things is going to be different than someone in Mexico. But when you're working with a coach, they really have a good sense of what motivates people, what makes them tick, or how to at least figure out what that is. And so in that way, they can really help you pull yourself up out of your circumstances when it feels like you're just stuck. They can help you see things from a different perspective. Number 3, and this is the big one. Are you where you want to be? Are you living your destiny right now? If not, something needs to change. So if you're not where you want to be, then something needs to change. A practical definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. A coach can light the path on that, and they can really help you to see where you're doing the same thing over and over again and how you can do things differently to get a different result. Now, a nuance here is that at some point, you're going to need to expect to pay for coaching. And it kind of goes back to what I just mentioned about the poverty spirit. This is something that's really important. When you pay for something, it's an exchange. You are exchanging your money for someone else's experience to fast track you. And you're basically exchanging being stuck for your freedom when you pay for something. And you'll never miss it and you'll never look back. Many coaches, even though they could technically provide their services for free, and some of them do, but many of them charge because of one important reason. The transformation happens with the transaction. When we pay for something, we take it way more seriously than if we get something for free. I've done it. I imagine you've done it if you are honest with yourself and think about it. And so I know that whenever I pay for something, I'm going to show up. I'm going to show up differently. And I do recognize, because I've been blessed with training that was free, I realize that someone paid for it. And so I always treated it that way because I know that someone paid a price for me to have training. But especially whenever I pay for it, I show up differently. And it's important, especially as part, also being a business owner, a social enterprise owner, is it's important for you to be a customer or client that you want to have in your social enterprise as your customer or client. So be the type of person, be the customer or client that you want to attract and bring into your business. So I realize that I am starting to run out of time already. So what I'm going to do is break this up into 3 episodes, and we'll discuss the where in the next episode. But for now, let me just do a quick recap, the reasons why you need a coach. Number 1, they serve different purposes for the different seasons of your life and business. Growing is very cyclical, and we are going to go around the mountain and then go around a different mountain and a different mountain. And so having a coach can really, or a series of coaches, can help you with that process. Number 2, coaches can pull you out of the mire of your circumstances. They can help you see things in a different way. And when you're able to get up above it, you realize that things are much different than they are when you're down in the pit and in the middle of it. And number 3, if you're not where you want to be, then something needs to change. And this is where coaching comes in. That's all for today, my friends. Just a quick note, I am holding a live workshop today, or depending on when you listen to it, on March 22nd at 12 p.m. GMT. So the title of the workshop is 5 Mindset Pitfalls to Avoid in Social Entrepreneurship. So if that's something that you're interested in, you can send me an email and I can send you the replay.